Hey everybody. Okay, today we are going to be talking about tween girls. Now this is a tricky stage, but it's also can be a fun one. We're going to be covering social media, mean girls, girls' insecurity, all the things. So get ready. I'm excited to jump in and talk about tween girls.
Hey moms, and welcome to Wire Talk. We are so glad you decided to spend a little part of your day with us today. And today we are covering tween girls. So as a mom of three girls, you kind of are an expert in this subject, aren't you?
I think you're right. I think if I could claim to be an expert on anything in parenting, it would be tween girls. Absolutely.
And teenagers aren't easy either.
They are not easy. They were a fun stage. I really enjoyed this stage. I loved it and I hated it all at the same time, but I loved it more than I hated it.
Right. But this is technically tweens. So I'm thinking this is like middle school, 9th grade. Is that where we're at right now?
Yeah, middle school. Yeah, 9th grade probably, but definitely middle school.
Middle school.
Yeah, I mean, could be an older 5th grader, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, depending if she's 12 or whatever. But hard stuff.
I remember those middle school days.
You do?
Uh-huh.
Why don't you share a little bit about your middle school days, Emily?
So from the outside looking in, I think with middle school years, you have to, as a mom, at least this is what I think, you kind of have to guide them the best you can, but then ultimately it's their decision on if they're going to listen. And what I mean by that is you told me every day, don't wear the same sweatshirt and pull my hair back, or I wore my hair in a slicked, wet back ponytail.
Yep.
Every single day for 3 years.
Yep.
And I wore the same 3 sweatshirts every day, almost all through middle school.
Right.
And you tried to guide me differently. You're like, Emily,
I did.
Do you want to wear your hair differently for school? No. You could try doing this. No. Do you want to wear a different sweatshirt since it's 92 degrees outside? Nope.
Well, back in those days, I don't know if everybody remembers this, but like Angelina Jolie and J-Lo would all have that slick back, you know.
Oh, I remember.
And Kelsey did the same thing. And Kelsey had all those braces.
Oh, don't worry. My
like,
braces were matching colors to my middle school. So I looked
You
awesome.
had school spirit, Emily.
I had school spirit. Yes, I did. Wasn't a cheerleader, but I had school spirit.
As a mom, I mean, you know, obviously we want you guys to look the best.
Yes.
So, and as you got out of the middle, you know, at the driveway of the middle school, I just had to tell myself, you know what, Karen, this is what she wants to wear. So let her wear it. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Emily's a good girl. Kelsey's a good girl. Let it roll.
I mean, I think I was just ahead of the times because now slick back ponytails are back in style.
I tell you.
You
and Kelsey were leading the pack.
That's right. I still don't look great in slick back ponytails, but it is a popular trend right now.
It's a funny stage of life. So yeah.
So going back to like those tween years with me, Kelsey, and I mean, Taylor, yes, but he's not a girl. Abby, what can you remember what kind of issues were a big deal in our home?
Everything was a big deal.
Everything.
Didn't it feel like it? Like friends were a big deal. Your school was a big deal. The clubs you were in were a big deal. Being left out was a big deal. Being insecure was a big deal. Like focusing on the one strand of hair that wouldn't lay down in the slick back ponytail, that was a big deal. Everything was do or die. Everything had tears just about. Greg, one time, when he came in the room one time and he goes, I was talking to Kelsey and she was laughing and then all of a sudden she started crying out of nowhere. I don't even know why she's crying. And I said, Greg, she's a, tweenager, and she's just, the thing about these years of the tweens, their bodies are going through so much stuff. They've got hormones just rushing through their bodies. Y'all don't know what to do with them. Really and truly, parents don't know what to do with them because this is a different version of your child. You've never seen this version before, and it's a very dramatic version. There's a lot of emotions, hot, cold. It's just
everything's a big deal.
Everything's on high alert. So as parents, the more calm we can stay, the better. But it takes a while to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think I remember getting frustrated with you, like, this is a big deal.
Yes.
And you'd be like, Emily, it's okay. And I would get so frustrated that you didn't think this was a big deal.
That's right. And as a mom, you have to just sort of go with it.
So
I heard one time at a church youth gathering thing, the preacher said, you think you're in love, you're not in love. And instantly he lost the room. Because those girls really, truly believe they are in love.
Absolutely.
And I told him at work the next week, I said, hey, don't ever tell high school, middle schoolers that they're not in love because they believe to their core that they're in love. And I said, you lost the room. It's the second you said that to the girls. And he goes, I've never thought about that. And I said, well, you've never had a teenage girl. So
and you're
how
so
would
far
you know?
removed, you wouldn't even remember.
He had like a toddler at the time.
Yeah.
So, and in his mind, and he's probably right. They're not in love, but boy, do they feel like they're in love.
Yes.
And they want to be validated with their thoughts and their feelings, and they want to be heard. Teenagers want to be heard, tweens.
So if anything we get from this episode is tweens want to be heard.
They want to be heard. They're trying to figure out who they are.
I can understand that.
And you need, as a parent, to let your tween figure out who they are in these middle school years, because that's going to help them further develop once they get into high school. So many young adults are still searching to figure out who they are because their parents never really allowed them. So it was important that you wore those sweatshirts every single day. It was important that you had your hair slicked back and you did it your way. I had to let you do it your way. I had to let Kelsey do it her way, and that's hard as a parent because sometimes their way is an awkward way. It's a not great way. It's a, all kind of way. But it's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Well, did you ever have somebody that was like kind of a step ahead of you in this season that you kind of looked to and asked questions about?
Yeah, I did. I actually, in this season is sort of whenever I got a mentor in my life. And I chose 3 different ladies. Because one wasn't enough. I needed 3.
That's right. Takes a village.
Yes, it does take a village. So I chose 3 different ladies that were further ahead of me. They had adult children, and they had girls, and I loved their relationship with their girls. So I just sort of chose these ladies, and I said, hey, would you think about mentoring me? And one of them said, I won't be your mentor, but I'll be your friend and I'll walk you through it. And I said,
sweet.
hey, I can take friendship any day of the week.
Absolutely. Who doesn't want a good friendship?
Exactly. And they're still in my life.
Well, good. And, I think that's a core reason is why you decided to make Birds on a Wire. It was because you knew we couldn't do it. Moms couldn't do it on their own. They need somebody to come alongside them who's a little bit ahead of them to kind of guide them and help answer questions when they don't have the answers. You know
agree.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's why you developed Mom Core Online.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming out soon, isn't it?
It is coming out soon. I'm so excited about Mom Core Online. Mom Core is our top selling curriculum.
And that was filmed a while back.
Oh my goodness, y'all. It's funny to watch my hairstyle
back
then, the outfits that I'm wearing. Go easy on me. Don't judge me hard. But anyways, at least it's comical. But the material is still so good.
Yes.
I had a church come and say, if you had 6 things you could talk to a mom about, what would those be? Mm-hmm. So I said, their purpose as a mother, boundaries, time management, being a student of your child, discipline, and contentment. I mean, I hit the top 6, and this curriculum is so good. And Mom Core Online is even better. So Mom Core Online is a great thing to do because you can do it by yourself. You can do it with a group. And it'll drop once a week for the first 6 weeks. And then after the 6th session drops, you've got all that curriculum. And as long as you want it, you can watch it all in one swoop like I binge watch Netflix, or you can sort of taper it out and do it once a week. And we've got the devotionals that are included in it, discussion questions, all kinds of extra tips to help you and remind you of things like the key verse throughout the weeks and stuff like that. So it really does help.
And just so you guys know, that registration closes on September 8th, and you will not be able to get it
after that.
So, and I was like, that's kind of, I'm agreeing. So that's a little nerve-wracking to me because I always forget to do things. So sign up for Mom Core Online today. And also, if you've already done Mom Core Online once, don't think that you can't do it again. I've already done it 3 times, and I did it when Harper was a baby. And then, well, I've listened to it when it was recorded. I did it before I was a mom. I did it when Harper was a baby, and I did it again just this past year now that having 2, and it makes a big difference. And you get something
every
from
single
it
time.
every single time. So, and I encourage you to maybe start a group. It's a great way to,
Really
all the
is.
material is there for you and your group. You and the people in the group sign up. So you have all those materials on hand and just host it at your home.
And the thing about it is, to be a group leader, you don't have to do anything other than facilitate. I do all the work, and Birds on a Wire does all the work. So you just plug and go, and it doesn't get any easier. And it's just so nice to sit around even a small circle with other moms and realize, oh, I'm not the only one that feels this way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're so good. And if you do register, make sure you visit boaw.mom/momcoreonline. For our Wire Talk listeners, we have a special promo code for you, and that is going to be Wire Talk. That's the coupon code, and it's all one word, WIRETALK, and that will get you a discount on the course. So don't wait, because the course closes on September 8th, and then you're going to have to wait till next year to jump in on it, and you don't want to miss this awesome opportunity.
That's right.
So, all right. Well, enough about Mom Core Online, because we could talk about that all day.
Got to get to these questions.
Let's get to these tween questions. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's dive in. All right. Jumping in. Question 1. How do we teach our daughters to be modest in a healthy, non-shameful way?
I love that. Well, I just think the thing with girls is, in this stage of life, is definitely to show them their worth. So many times the world does not show them their worth, and we as moms need to pull alongside them and show them their worth and how God sees them. And that is, they're beautiful and they're wonderful, and they need to know that. So I noticed whenever y'all got into middle school, things started to change with y'all. When you once were confident, you sort of lost that confidence. You sort of lost that edge of, I'm pretty. You know, young girls, they can look in the mirror and think, oh, I'm so cute, or I'm so pretty, or whatever. But whenever you got to middle school, you really lost that. And that sort of saddened my heart. So I started just thinking, how can I build you guys up? I know a lot of times, a lot of your friends, especially 7th and 8th grade, started wearing makeup and all of that. And where I didn't really want you to go down that road to wear a bunch of makeup, I took you to the Clinique counter. Do you remember that?
I do.
And I would ask the Clinique lady to show you how to put on makeup. And she was so great, because she was like, oh, you have such pretty brown eyes, and look at your smile, and it's so beautiful. And I could just see all of you. You did it, in different, ages, obviously. But all of y'all, whenever I took you, and it was just a one-on-one thing that we did, y'all just sort of lit up. And you walked out of that store a little bit more confident than you walked in. So that was a good thing. Also, friendships were a really hard season for this. Friends started changing. That affected the way y'all felt. Why am I not, don't I not have friends? What's wrong with me? Why is everybody sort of not liking me now? It was just very different from elementary school.
I agree.
Yeah.
I also think the way that you talk to yourself as a mom, they hear that. You know what I mean? And if you're so critical, like, oh, I don't look good and blah, 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 they hear that and they're like, and they think the world of you. Like, they're like, man, my mom's gorgeous. And then if they hear you talking down to yourself, they're going to internally think, well, if my mom doesn't think she's pretty, I probably don't think I'm pretty. You know what I mean? So I think you need to watch your words as a mom about what you're saying to yourself, because they are listening.
Well, they're not only listening, they're also watching.
Yes.
And the way you dress is the way they want to dress, and the way they see their friends dressing, and the way the world dresses. And I know y'all wanted to do that. You know, you wanted to wear the really short shorts and the, tops a little bit lower. And I would like, no, we're not going to show everything we have. We're going to leave some things to the imagination.
Well, when we were growing up, the words on the bottom were a big deal.
A word like words across the butt is what she's talking about.
And that was a big no.
That was a big no, because I used to say, why do you want to put an advertisement across your rear end? like, joy or whatever it was, cheer or whatever.
I don't know what it was. It was everything.
It was everything known to mankind.
But there was a reason behind it. It wasn't just like a no. It was, we don't want people looking at your bottom because that's not appropriate. Like, you know what I mean? There was a little bit of
yeah, of course.
You
and that's the
listen
thing.
to us.
I think you have to tell the whys behind the no's.
Absolutely.
You can't just say, no, you can't do that. You need to tell them why. And I used to tell y'all to wear a cami underneath your shirts.
I still wear a cami underneath my shirts.
I know, right? I remember one time one of you asked me, why do I have to wear a cami underneath my shirt? And I'm like, because it just sort of keeps everything together and people can't look down your shirt as easily. And y'all, of course, didn't understand that. But I was like, we want to dress modestly because we don't want to show everything we have. What was that verse that y'all had? The Colossians.
Oh, it was, I can see it in my head, and Miss Carla made it for us.
Yeah, I made them all these plates. And it had Colossians 3.
It's a dress. I can't remember.
Clothe yourself
yes,
with dignity and
not modesty, but dignity and
I don't know. We can look it up. I'll put it in the show notes. But it was, each one of them had a plate, and they had it in their room like a decorative plate, and they hung it in their room.
It was more of like a plaque.
Yeah.
It was a plaque.
I mean, it was literally a plate, but it was decorative, and we had it on a plate. You can tell the age range, the time frame it was a long time ago.
It was.
So a plate wouldn't work anymore, but.
Yeah. So what would the practical tip for this mom, what is something practical you can help with this mom tackle this issue this week?
Just realize that your teen daughter is trying to figure out who she is. So pull alongside her and help her figure that herself out the best way you can. And the way she is wired may not line up the way you're wired, meaning she may want to wear a sweatshirt every single day of the year and have her hair pulled back in a ponytail. And you may think, oh, your hair is so pretty whenever it's down and long and flowy. But let her figure out who she is, because that's going to make a big difference in the long run.
Yep. Awesome. Question 2. I'm getting so worried about social media as my kids grow older. I have no idea how to navigate it. As a mom of 3, ages 9, 12, and 14, I find myself at a loss when it comes to navigating the digital landscape. My oldest, who is about to graduate 8th grade, is starting to express a desire to get social media as she keeps talking about all of her friends have it. I can't help but worry about the unrealistic standards it sets and how that could affect the development and self-identity. Am I crazy for not wanting her to get an Instagram and TikTok? I want her to grow up like an average kid and not miss out on things that her friends are doing. I just wish social media wasn't so toxic, especially for girls.
So true. This is a wise mom right here. And
I
you
feel
know
like
what?
it hits home with a lot of parents.
Absolutely. Go with your gut, mom. Go with your gut, because you're wise to put limits on social media, 100%. Even the most confident girls come away from social media feeling insecure. Heck, I come away from and feel insecure after watching and scrolling and all the things. So how can a teenage girl not feel that?
Exactly.
So there's a book I want to let everybody know about. It's by Arlene Pellicane, and she wrote a book, Screen Kids, 5 Relational Skills Every Child Needs in a Tech-Driven World. I think it would be great for you to read and then for you to pass along to your daughter, like just the information. I think that would really be helpful. But this mom is very wise in this area, and you do need to put limits on the social media.
Do you feel like you have a firm yes or no on a social media account for a 14-year-old?
I think that for me, I would hold off as long as possible. I really would. Honestly, even through high school, I would really say no. But it's every child's different. And it's not even that, like when Abby was in high school, she could have cared less. Facebook was the big thing. She could have cared less about Facebook. So I never really made it a big deal. I didn't draw a line in the sand and no, you cannot, or yes, you can, or whatever. It was just, she never brought it up, so I never brought it up. And so it wasn't a big deal. But nowadays, it seems like everybody's on TikTok and, Instagram and all the things. But we have to realize what Instagram and social media, what their long-term goal is. And that's to create the feeling that more is not enough and you need more and more and more. More clothes, more this. This is how you do your hair. This is how you do it right. This is what the popular girls want. This is what the boys want. All the things, more, more, more. And whenever a girl is young, 14 years old, trying to figure out who she is, and everybody keeps telling her, like, that's not good enough. This is what you need. That is going to affect her mental state.
100%.
100%. So why not put it off as long as possible? And honestly, if you can, and they're not going to like it, but if you can get away, not letting them get on it through high school, this is going to be better.
It's hard, but
I know
think
it's
they
hard.
can do it.
It is hard. But I think that's why this book, 5 Relational Skills Every Child Needs in a Tech-Driven World, is going to be so helpful. Because Arlene has 3 teenage children, and she's right in the middle of it. And her girls and son are thriving. And that's what we want.
Also, another good resource is you had a podcast with Tom Shefchunas, and I figured it out. It's episode 116, and it's technology in your kids.
Yeah.
And I feel like Tom did a really good job. And I mean, we're not in that stage of technology yet, but I know that I'm definitely going to be listening to that when it comes out, because Tom is very wise, and it's good to hear both, like, 2 sides of it, like from multiple people about what to do with it.
Well, Jennifer Garner said she's not going to let her daughter be on social media. Heck, Pink said she's not going to let her daughter Willow be on social media. I mean, those are people in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And they're saying, this is detrimental to my child. Why am I going to let her especially be on it? No.
So let's just say they do get a phone. They do get Instagram or whatever it is. What are some good steps for this mom, like, before they even hand them the phone? Is there something that they can do to help, like, establish rules or something?
Well, I mean, the parents need to know what their child's getting into. Don't just hand them an iPhone and say, hey, happy birthday.
Right.
Have fun. You need to educate your child with all the things and all of it. But you can give them a phone, and social media is not on the phone. I mean, there are things also called a flip phone that's not a smartphone. So everybody's like, well, parents are always like, they have to get in touch with me. Yeah, you can give them a flip phone and they can get in touch with you. They can text you. They can call you, all the things, but they don't have internet involved. So, but the least thing, they need to at least educate their child on limits and all of that, but hold off as long as possible.
Yeah, I remember when I was a teacher, before I would give them an activity, I would make sure they knew the rules of what it needed to look like and what their expectation was before I handed out any of the materials or put them in groups. Because as soon as I handed out those materials, or as soon as they got into groups, they were like, they're not paying attention.
Right.
So I feel like set those boundaries, set those rules before you hand them give them the reins. You know what I mean? Yep. All right. So what's one practical thing a mom can do to address her concerns about social media this week?
I would put off social media as long as possible. It's only going to mess with your girl's mind.
All right. Question 3. Mean girls. Mean girls and friendship problems are an issue for us at this age. How do I teach my daughter to stand up to a friend who isn't acting the right way, who is gossiping and being a mean girl? And how do I keep my girls from becoming mean girls themselves?
Mean girls. It's an issue, ladies. Okay, mean girls. I think the best way to teach your tween about mean girls is to role play with them. So whenever they come home and they say, Mom, my friend was so mean to me in the hall today, and this is what she said, blah, blah, blah. And I say, what did you say? And she's like, I didn't know what to say. So I just sort of stood there and looked at her and then walked off. Say, okay, well, let's back it up. I'm going to be the mean girl. Now, what should you have said? What do you wish you would have said to her? And then she'll tell you, and then y'all role play that situation out. In that way, that helps her have a game plan, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
And then how to not let her be the mean girl. Well, you're not in control of that. But the things that I would always tell you guys is remember what this feels like to be treated this way, and to be left out and to be made fun of and all the things that mean girls do. And I said, she's acting out because she's insecure. So just remember this and don't be this way to other people.
You also told us you don't know what's going on in their life.
That's true.
So you encouraged us. You said you don't know what's going on in their life, so you can choose to be a light in their life. That doesn't mean you need to be their best friend. You told me that a lot. Emily, you don't have to be their best friend. But you can choose kindness and show them Jesus and not return it back that way. But the role playing really helped me because as a green,
You didn't know what
I
to
never
say.
knew what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it sometimes was simple things that just kind of help me get through a conversation.
Well, it's so funny you say that about you being a green because you had one response and then Kelsey being the red, she would come at them like, and I'd be like, okay, don't be coming at them so strong.
Yeah.
I'd be coaching her back and I'd be pushing you forward.
Mm-hmm. Typical. So what's one practical tip you can give this mom?
So just remember during these years, you're your child's coach and they need you to help guide them and all that. Even though sometimes they are acting like they don't care about it and they don't need your help, they really do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Question 4, how can I motivate my yellow daughter to understand the importance of getting ready quickly, even if we're not on a strict schedule? I homeschool, so it's not like she's going to miss the bus, but I still want to start at a certain time.
Mm-hmm. So try putting a consequence behind her not being on time. With the yellow, that's usually the way you get their attention. You have to make something that's not fun, but you've got to attach it to her being late, not just in general kind of thing. And they always want the fun and they always want the adventure. So just make sure, say, oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that because we didn't start on time and this is our rules.
Yeah. You still have to get X amount of schooling in.
Exactly.
So would that be your practical suggestion for this mom?
Yeah. Figure out the best consequence for your yellow.
Mm-hmm. It's good to know. Simple and easy as that, everyone.
That's right.
All right. Question 5. This is our last question.
Okay.
How to navigate girls through puberty, emotions, self-esteem, friendship struggles, how to support them, and stay patient when there's so much attitude.
So how do you navigate the girls through puberty? Very carefully.
Treading on light water.
Yes. Just realize that your sweet girls are trying to figure out a lot and it's hard. The emotions are real. The emotions are big. The emotions just feel like they're just coming at them from all sides of them. So try to build her up as you're navigating her through it because everyone around her is trying to tear her down. Mm-hmm. That was the one thing I always thought was so difficult whenever y'all were in middle school is your dad and I would try to build you up when you were at the house and you may have left out in the morning feeling good about yourself. But then by the time you came home, you could just almost see the hit marks you'd taken all day long. And as a parent, we need to realize that, and don't try to shelter your child like it's just part of life. It's just part of them growing in the growing up process. And all of y'all did well. It's just you have to go through this and you have to be sort of develop this thick skin, But realize, like we said earlier in the podcast, let them be heard, let them feel valued, and acknowledge their feelings that they're having. Don't dismiss them all the time. Mm-hmm. To say, I hear what you're saying and this and this. Emotions don't always represent truth. So you may feel like everybody in your class hates you, but in reality, everybody does not hate you. Mm-hmm. One girl may hate you, I mean, seriously, that may happen, but one girl may hate you, but not everybody hates you. Mm-hmm. And help them see what the truth is. And a lot of times that does help, but, just walk alongside them as best you can.
I think also thinking about me going through middle school is we had great small group leaders through church.
Oh, yeah.
And my small group leader could say the exact same thing that you had been saying.
Yes.
And I would come home and be like, Mom, this is what Sarah said. And you wouldn't get frustrated that Sarah was saying that. You're like, oh, that's amazing. Even though you had told me 6 times the same exact thing. I think having somebody wise go alongside you that's not your parents sometimes in this season is the best thing for your kids because they don't always want to listen to mom and dad.
And that's a good point. As moms, don't get jealous that they're listening to their grandmother or their small group leader or a teacher or a coach or whatever. As long as the person that they're listening to is walking with the Lord, that's all you care about.
Right.
Seriously, that's all you care about. And honestly, during those stages of life, I dialed up certain people in y'all's life. Definitely. So hopefully you would hear what they had to say.
You did it very carefully because we didn't really know you were doing that.
That's right. You got to be sneaky, moms. You got to be sneaky.
Yeah, because you're doing it for the best. For
absolutely. Yes.
So always we like to end on a practical note. So what's something practical you can encourage this mama for the next couple of weeks?
Well, during this stage of life, this is when I upped my prayer time. This is whenever I would get up at 5:30 in the morning and just get on my knees. I didn't stay on my knees very long because that would always hurt. I would always think, how do people do this? This really hurts my knees.
A nice yoga mat or something.
And yeah, I would just get up and I'd sit in my chair in my room and I would pray and I would just ask God to go before you. I would ask God to protect your heart. I would ask God to send good friends into your life. And I would ask God for wisdom for me as a parent on how to walk alongside my girls and how to get them through this very hard stage of life.
Well, that's amazing. And I think that's a perfect way to end this podcast, is just knowing that the Lord will prepare you for what you're walking through.
Yeah, but we got to lean in on him for sure.
Lean in on him. Well, Mom, thank you for answering all these questions.
Yes.
I know the moms love hearing it. I do too. Even though I'm not in this stage, I'm excited to have you dialed up in these years. For sure.
Bring him over.
That's
send him
right.
over.
So, well, moms, thank you so much for spending your time, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening through your AirPods as you're headed to work or folding laundry. We just appreciate you listening to Wire Talk. And if you love Wire Talk as much as we do, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share with other people so they can hear the encouraging news from Karen. Don't forget that Mom Corps Online registration stops September 8th. So don't miss your chance to get in on a wonderful opportunity to hear Karen's mom's teaching for you guys. And don't forget, we have a discount code, which is Wire Talk, WIRETALK, and that's just for you. Wire Talk is a branch of Birds on a Wire ministry to encourage you and equip you in your motherhood life. And if you have any questions, please look us up at birdsonawiremoms.com. Thank you guys. Have a great week.